Early life. Michael Philip Jagger was born into a middle-class family in Dartford, Kent, on the 26th of July 1943. His father, Basil Fanshawe, Joe Jagger, a former gymnast, was a physical education teacher who helped popularise basketball in Britainhis. Grandfather David Ernest Jagger was also a teacher. His mother, Eva Ensley Mary, born in Sydney, Australia, of English descent, was a hairdresser and an active member of the Conservative Party. Joe and Eva were married in 1940 at Holy Trinity Church, Dartford. Jagger's younger brother, Chris, born the 19th of December 1947, is also a musician. The two have performed together. Although brought up to follow his father's career path, Jagger said according to the Rolling Stones, "I always sang as a child. I was one of those kids who just liked to sing. Some kids sing in choirs. Others like to show off in front of the mirror. I was in the church choir and I also loved listening to singers on the radio, the BBC or Radio Luxembourg, or watching them on TV and in the movies." In September 1950, Keith Richards and Jagger were classmates at Wentworth Primary School, Dartford, before the Jagger family's 1954 move to Wilmington, Kent. The same year he passed the 11+ examination and attended Dartford Grammar School, which now has the Mick Jagger Centre Performing Arts venue within the school site. Jagger and Richards lost contact with each other when they went to different schools. In the mid-1950s, Jagger formed a garage band with his friend Dick Taylor. The group mainly played material by Muddy Waters, Chuck Berry, Little Richard, Howlin' Wolf and Bo Diddley. Jagger met Richards again on the 17th of October 1961 on Platform 2 of Dartford Railway Station. The Chuck Berry and Muddy Waters records Jagger was carrying revealed a shared interest in rhythm and blues. A musical partnership began shortly afterwards. Richards and Taylor often met Jagger at his house. The meetings moved to Taylor's house in late 1961, where Alan Etherington and Bob Beckwith joined the trio. The quintet called themselves the Blues Boys. Jagger left school in 1961 after passing 7 O-levels and 2 A-levels. He and Richards moved into a flat in Edith Grove, Chelsea, London, with guitarist Brian Jones. While Richards and Jones planned to start their own rhythm and blues group, Jagger continued to study finance and accounting on a government grant as an undergraduate student at the London School of Economics. He had seriously considered becoming either a journalist or a politician, comparing the latter to a pop star. Brian Jones, using the name Elmo Lewis, began working at the Ealing Club, where a loose music ensemble known as Blues Incorporated was performing, under the leadership of Alexis Corner. Jones, Richards, and Jagger began to jam with the group, Jagger eventually becoming the featured singer. Soon, the three of them began meeting on their own to practice, laying the foundation for what would become the Rolling Stones. 1960s. In their earliest days, the Rolling Stones played for no money in the interval of Alexis Corner's gigs at a basement club opposite London's Ealing Broadway tube station, subsequently called Ferris Club. The group had very little equipment and borrowed Corner's gear to play. Their first appearance, under the name The Rolling Stones, after one of their favorite Muddy Waters tunes, was at the Marquee Club, a London jazz club, on the 12th of July 1962. They later changed their name to The Rolling Stones, as it seemed more formal. Writer Victor Bockris says the band members included Jagger, Richards, Jones, Ian Stewart on piano, Dick Taylor on bass and Tony Chapman on drums. But Richards says in his memoir Life that the drummer that night was Mick Jagger, not Tony Chapman, as history has mysteriously handed it down. In June 1963, the band began a 5-month residency at Eel Pie Island Hotel, which the BBC later credited with shaping the band's career. By that autumn, Jagger had left the London School of Economics to pursue his promising musical career with the Rolling Stones. 1970s. In 1970, Jagger bought Stargroves, a manor house and estate near East Woodhay in Hampshire. The Rolling Stones and several other bands recorded there using the Rolling Stones mobile studio. In 1970, Nicholas Roeg's controversial film Performance was released. Produced in 1968, it featured Jagger as a reclusive rock star, Turner. Keith Richards' girlfriend Anita Pallenberg also appears in the film. Jagger and the rest of the band moved to the south of France as tax exiles in 1971 to avoid paying a 93% super tax imposed by Harold Wilson's Labour government on the country's top earners after the band's acrimonious split with their second manager, Alan Klein, in 1971 and Richard's heroin addiction. Jagger took control of their business affairs. The feuds between Jagger and Richards originated during this time as a result. Jagger has managed the group ever since, with Prince Rupert Lowenstein acting as business advisor and financial manager from 1968 until 2007. 1980s. Following the success of Some Girls, the band released their next album, Emotional Rescue, in mid-1980. During recording sessions for the album, a rift between Jagger and Richards slowly developed. Richards wanted to tour in the summer or autumn of 1980 to promote the new album. Much to his disappointment, Jagger declined. 91, Emotional Rescue hit the top of the charts on both sides of the Atlantic and the title track reached No. 3 in the US. In early 1981, the group reconvened and decided to tour the US that year, leaving little time to write and record a new album, as well as rehearse for the tour. That year's resulting album, Tattoo You, featured several outtakes, including lead single, Start Me Up, which reached in the US and ranked No. 22 on Billboard's Hot 100 year-end chart. Two songs, Waiting on a Friend, US No. 13, and Tops, featured Mick Taylor's unused rhythm guitar tracks, and jazz saxophonist Sonny Rollins played on Slave, Neighbors, and Waiting on a Friend. The album reached No. 2 in the UK and No. 1 in the US. 1990s. The 1989-1990 Steel Wheels, Urban Jungle Tour was the band's first world tour in 7 years and their biggest stage production to date. Opening acts included Living Colour and Guns N' Roses. Recordings from the tour include the 1991 concert album Flashpoint, which reached No. 6 in the UK and No. 16 in the US, and the concert film Live at the Max, released in 1991. The tour was Bill Wyman's last. After years of deliberation, he decided to leave the band, although his departure was not made official until January 1993. Following the success of Steel Wheels, and the end of Jagger and Richards' well-publicized feud, Jagger attempted to re-establish himself as a solo artist. He acquired Rick Rubin as co-producer in January 1992 for what would become his third solo album, Wandering Spirit. Sessions for the album began the same month in Los Angeles and ended in September 1992. Richards was making his second solo studio album, Main Offender, at the same time.